Thank you so much for joining me in this video, my dear friends. This is April 5th, 2018, and I'm with a very important topic. I'm so glad that you have given me proper response for the previous videos. If I remember right, the previous video was about impulse control, and this video is exclusively about how to conquer your worries. 3 days back, I was reading a book written by Orison Swett Martin. See, this Orison Swett Martin is a person who has been a very big philosopher in the early 19th century. Right? So he wrote a couple of books in the year 1901 and 1903, 1905. And he was working for US Army for some time. Then after getting out of the US Army, he started, being an author, and he started spreading a lot of messages to the world. And I was taking some notes, a couple of notes from the book that Orison Swett Martin had written. The book's name is The Conquest of Worry. Martin has written plenty of books. He Can, Who Thinks He Can, The Attitude of a Winner, then this one, The Conquest of Worry. So when I was going through this book and I was taking down the notes, I thought with whatever kind of facts that I know about worrying, I thought of merging with the concepts that I have taken notes on, and I thought of giving that to you so that you will be getting benefited. Plenty of people have got plenty of worries. Plenty of people have got plenty of self-doubts. Many people have got plenty of fear about the future. There was a Japanese fable, and the fable goes on like this. A person has a nightmare, and in the nightmare, one particular monster comes and tortures the person in the dream. And the person is really getting so much suffered because of the torture, and he ultimately asks the monster, "What did I do for deserving such treatment from you? Why are you so much irritating me? Why are you so much torturing me? You are literally manhandling me. You are giving me a lot of punishments. I'm not able to handle all that. What did I do for deserving such kind of treatment from you?" And then the monster answered, "It's because of you. You say that you are not deserving this kind of a treatment, but it is you who has really stimulated me to do this. Because you have been inviting me. You have been sending subliminal messages to me to come and meet you. And the subliminal messages that you had sent basically stated that you needed this kind of a deserving punishment. You were supposed to be assassinated. You were supposed to be attacked, you were supposed to be harassed, and basically you were supposed to be damaged unto the monster replied. And the monster came across with a statement which really astonished this man who was suffering the suffering. And the statement went on like this: "Blame thyself for thy suffering." I repeat, blame thyself for thy suffering. Blame your own self for your own suffering. And the monster uttered one more statement: "Though thyself has created me and fashioned me, as such I am. Though thyself has created me and fashioned me, as such I am. My nature is only as much vulnerable as you have given to me. It's because of you I have become such an erratic and arrogant person." And that monster, my dear friend, in that nightmare of that person, is the worry of the person. It's in fact the worry's image. It's in fact the reincarnation of the worry of that man, because that man has been completely responsible for involving that monster into his life, and the monster had started troubling him. So this is the first theory of the worry. Most of the worries are the ones that you have brought within yourself. And worry comes because of one basic thing, and that's fear. The arch enemy of mankind is fear. So fear and worry go in tandem. Fear about the future, fear about the failure. You've got plenty of other fears in your life based upon the circumstances that you have been facing in your life. And because of the fear, you cultivate and you manufacture that kind of worry that you are experiencing now. Look at your life. What are the kind of worries that you have right now? Worry about finances, worry about your relationship, worry about how the economic condition is going on in your life, worry about the political system, the education system, worry about the national leadership. What are the kinds of worries you have? In my workshop, there is a separate phase called as this conquest of worry, and I ask people to write down what are the worries that they are currently encountering. What is the current diet program you have? What is the current mobile scheme plan you have? What is the current business you are running? Likewise, what is the current level of worries you have? And what are all the worries that you are really encountering now? People come up with a lot of gamut of list of worries. They sometimes get too much intrinsic into the heart, and they come up with plenty of worries that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be taken control of. We're not going to speak about those kinds of biggest worries. We are not getting too personal right here, but we are going to see some tools and techniques and formula for conquesting your worry. Because the foundation of creating worry within you is basically lying in your own mind. And having said that, we need to analyze fear. What is fear basically? Fear is a state of mind. Fear is a state of mind of not being able to be capable of handling the upcoming crisis. Now, the crisis is in a different shape, but the ability that you have towards handling the crisis, and that inability, that lacking of ability is what is called as fear. So again, I repeat the statement, fear is nothing but, it's a sense of being unable to cope with an expected crisis. You're not able to cope up with the expected crisis. That's a fear, and that's the root cause of all the worries. You know, when you counsel to people, you always come across. I mean, when you are sitting for counseling your children, when you are counseling your spouse, or when you are counseling anybody in the chosen occupation of yours, you utter one particular statement. And that statement, I want you to know about that statement first of all before you utter that to anybody else. You have to know when to worry. Okay. Worrying is fine, okay, it comes very much inaugmented, and it is into the default of the mind, but we got to know when to worry. That's the key here. If you have the ability to postpone your worry to a certain point of time, then you are really indispensable. As the statement goes, if extinction is the rule, then survival must be your choice. If extinction is the rule, then survival must be your choice. If destroying, getting abolished, getting extincted is going to be the rule, then you are supposed to be the one who will survive finally. Survival of the fittest. Refined form of the statement called as survival of the fittest. You got to be having that survival mentality. So here in this video, we are going to discuss about these two aspects. You have come to an understanding, we have come to terms of a very indispensable fact that worry is being established by the fear. And fear is being established by the inability to cope up with the crisis that is going to come. So they are quite interrelated. Do you get the point? They are quite interrelated. So we need to create a system to handle these two, the fear and the worry. And that's what is conquest of worry. So on that note, I'm going to share a couple of techniques with you. Some 4 or 5 techniques for handling the worry. Here comes the first technique. Having worry breaks. We have tea break, we have coffee break, we have network break, smartphone break, WhatsApp break, Facebook break. Likewise, let us have worry break. Stipulate a separate certain point of time in a day to spend exclusively for thinking about worries. Will that be possible for you? Well, even if it is impossible for you, you are supposed to do it. There's no other way out. If you're really wanting badly a change, then you will have to get into these kinds of new initiatives, because same old thoughts are not going to give new results. New forms of behaviors, new forms of artistic control is what is going to give you new forms of results. So have worry breaks. Point number 1. When are you going to fix that worry break? Keep that in the afternoon, not in the morning, not in the evening. Keep that in the afternoon. Get into your want list. What are your wants, my dear friends? Just look into your life. There are certain areas of your life where you are having too much of wants, too much of variety, too much of ranges, too much of kinds. Maybe the expectation of too much of kinds and varieties are pushing you to a different limit, and you are inundated with a lot of worries. If you want me to utter an example, your finances, your kind of the economical situation that you are encountering in your life. Are you really looking for an updation? Well, looking for an updation is quite natural, but looking for some forms of varieties and some forms of kinds and avenues through which you can have more amount of economical exposure, more amount of money flowing into the bank account, then it's good for the progress. But if you are so much obsessed with that, then worry is definitely going to be on the cards. So some of our wants are really motivating us. Agreed, but the same wants are really making us get into this worry section. So you need to reanalyze your wants. You need to reanalyze the level of the structure of the wants that you are having in your life. The second approach to handle your worry is looking into the level of your imagination. When a project has been given to you, or when you are talking about a particular task that has to be completed before a certain amount of time, what kind of imagination are you really having? Some people are really blessed up with proper creative visualization, so that they always think about the best avenues of completing the task. And some people are not really blessed with the same kind. They are really having a big trouble of having a nightmare and worst imagination of a particular task. When they are supposed to finish a task or a project in the ensuing month, they have this subliminal habit of having negative imaginations before even starting that particular task. So you need to analyze your creative visualization pattern. Are you a very big negative imaginer? Like for example, a producer of a horror film has to imagine all the negative elements of a lifestyle. Only then the person can become creatively excellent in bringing up the script for the horror movie. Who knows, if you are having that kind of thinking, that kind of a bad imagination, then you're really in the trouble. So the second approach for handling the worry is just analyze the imagination pattern. Sometimes your imagination is containing a lot of the devils and demons that are really making you so much clogged into the brain. As Orison Swett Martin says, a clogged brain cannot think independently. If your brain is completely clogged with the negative imaginations and lots of emotional demons inside you, the invisible factors inside you, then your imagination is going to be wrong and you're always going to be in the stock of worries. The next technique that I'm going to give you is called as a worry table. If you could look into this picture, you have got the worry that is on the center of the table, all right? And you've got 4 legs. When you call it as a table, the table has to have 4 legs. And the 4 legs of that worry table are the real substantial reasons for your worry to be so much strengthful. Please understand that the worry gets so much of life because of the 4 legs of that table. See, any table is as strong as the legs the table contains, am I right? So if it is an office table, the table has to have very strong legs which could carry the laptop, which could carry all the kinds of objects that are used in the office. Likewise, your worry is as much strong, as much depthful, as much strong as the legs the table has got. So on the top of the table, my dear friends, the worry is really very much strengthful because of the 4 legs that you are having. So let's say, for example, if you are having a recent worry that is really making you a lot of turmoil. In the beginning of the video, I spoke about the nightmare that a person was experiencing. And do you remember the statement? The statement was pretty simple. Blame thyself for thy suffering. Blame your own self for your own suffering. Likewise, take that one suffering that you are having right now, which is really putting you in a lot of trouble in the life. Right? So fix that worry onto the top of the table. Okay? And how did that particular worry gain so much of strength? Reason is you. Reason is you who have been giving you a lot of responsible legs for that table. I'll give you an example. My future for my business is completely dark. A businessman, an entrepreneur thinks so. Okay? This is a classical example. An entrepreneur thinks that his business is going to be slumped and in the next 2 or 3 years he's not going to get very much of the expected profits or forecasted profits. Now this is the kind of a worry for any businessman, and being an entrepreneur, even I used to have that kind of a worry, but I have managed to handle that worry. So I'm just sharing that technique with you. So this businessman has got this biggest worry of the next 2 years of his financial forecast is not very much encouraging. That's the biggest worry. Now put this worry on the top of the table. All right. Now just think over. This worry has been catching so much of depth, has been gaining so much of strength because of the 4 legs that he has. And the 4 legs, the reason for this big worry that is on the top of the table, that is at the top of the table. The 4 main reasons. Now can you really make a kind of a judgment what could be the 4 major reasons this entrepreneur, this businessman has for making that big worry as a very much, as a monster? First reason, the first leg of the table. The first leg of the table, past few months my profits are not good. My customers
or not really valuing me. Second table, past few months I have been experiencing plenty of distress. Past few months, the people who have been calling me as a very good businessman, they have started doubting on my abilities. They have started finding fault on my skills. Okay. Now, two table legs are very strong. One is about the customers and his past results. Another one is about the surrounding. All right. The third leg is the third reason for that particular worry. What could be the third leg? I have started feeling so much depressed. Now, previously when I was doing business projects, I was not having any fear. But these days, I have started, entangling lots of fear with whatever strategies I take in my business, with whatever action plan that I'm planning for in my business. So I have started doubting myself. I have started really doubting on my skills, doubting on my abilities. I'm not able to cope up the stress that is coming over. Fourth leg of the table. There are plenty of other business players who have already got into the market and they have captured the customers. There are really other players. If I am able to do a project for almost about 50,000 Indian currency, there are plenty of people in the market who could do the same project for a real minimal amount of 20,000. So customers are drifting their attention towards them. So these are the four legs. First leg, is it in his control? Second leg, is it his in control? Third, fourth. Out of these four legs of the worry table, how many legs do you think it's in the control of this businessman? In fact, all of them, right? So if there is one particular leg which is not properly into his control, then there is a big problem. But let me tell you how these four legs are really in his control. Remember what was the first leg that we spoke about as far as worry is concerned? This biggest worry. And what is a worry, by the way? Again, re-summarizing. The worry was my business is falling down. I'm getting into the slump form. I'm having turbulent times. The first one was the customers running away. That's the first leg, right? Why do I say that the first leg of this worry table is in his control? Because the customers going out, maybe it's a research finding and research fact, but mostly it is his bad perception. Mostly it is his wrong perception. And coming to the second table, the other people are doubting his abilities. They have started really having a bad nurturing of his skills. That particular second leg is again a bad calculation. Again, delusional thinking. His own illusion. Third leg. Coming to the third leg. Third leg is his own doubts about his abilities. His own doubts about his skills. His doubt about his parameters, the past accomplishments. Then it is basically a kind of insecure feeling, and that is also in his control. And he has to be blamed. Right? The fourth leg. The other players entering into the market. That's a fantastic boon. God has showed in front of him, and God has told him, you need a little growth, and here it is. Competition is the best way to upgrade your skills, right? So he has to prepare himself, he has to reboot, he has to have rejuvenated thinking, and he has to work on his own skills so that he can cope up the competition. So now do you understand? All the four legs are completely in his control. Now coming back to you, your worry. How's your worry table? Well, Mr. Manikandan, my four legs are all completely out of my control. Then that's not worry, that's misfortune, that's fate, that's your destiny. But I basically believe three legs are in my control and one leg is not in my control. Then again, your perception is wrong. You have to deeply analyze things. No, I have analyzed deeply. I still believe that the one leg is very much not in my control. Fine, work on the other three legs, right? No, three legs are completely out of control, but there is one leg that I can really take control of. Take that control of. Take control of that leg. Do that at least. So this is called as the worry table mechanism in psychology. So maybe I have given with a small example. So if you're not able to relate, give a call to me, we will talk about that. We'll set up a counseling for that. But this worry table mechanism is definitely going to work out for the purpose of analyzing all your worry. You have to literally put these things into the paper. You have to draw a worry table and you need to write down on the piece of the paper. It is done in the workshop. In my workshop, my clients will do this. As a part of the workshop, I ask them to write that worry in a piece of paper and I ask them to derive the tables. If they are not able to find out the reasons, then they are completely confused. Reason is going to be found out only by you. Nobody else can come and find out the reasons for the misfortunes that are happening in your life. It is your responsibility. So you got to prepare the worry table, and you need to go one by one. Go easy on them, right? Go easy on them. It's a wonderful analysis. What does a factory supervisor do if a machine is in a fault? He goes for a prototype analyzing, and he calls up the expert, and he asks the expert to find out where the troubleshooting has to actually take place. That's what you are doing. This is called as worry troubleshooting. We can name it as worry troubleshooting, also known as the worry table technique. And the next method to handle worry is called as the mindfulness. It's a very buzzword. You must have read about that in the internet. You might be having an app with regard to mindfulness. There is a separate app for mindfulness which will talk to you about the basic levels of meditation and how you can tame your mind and stuff. But my ideology about mindfulness is living in the present. Mindfulness is basically the concept extracted from Buddhism. So where the Lord Buddha says you have to enjoy whatever that is going on at the present moment. And the reason why I am entangling this mindfulness as a therapy for handling your worries is that worry is a kind of a mirage. Sometimes it is not even existing, and sometimes we are over exaggerating the worry, and we are really giving life to that exaggeration, and we see things which are not going to be operational in the life, which are not at all going to happen. And first of all, I wanted to have a look at the statistics. I'm taking you to a drift, a separate other video where you will be motivated to get into the information about the worry statistics. So watch that worry statistics and then come back. Then we shall speak about mindfulness. So here we go. I would like to give you a small statistics about your worries. We are speaking about fear of failure, right? So most of the fear of failure is being generated by the past library of your worries. And let me give you a small statistics of how we are actually having our worry times and how are we having our worries. 40% of your worries are about something that are not at all going to happen in your life. Can you believe it? The first ingredient of this statistics is 40% of your worries are something that are not at all going to happen in your life. Second ingredient, 30% of your worries right now in your head are something that had happened in the past and that cannot be changed by worrying and thinking. So 70% of your worries are needless. Third ingredient of the statistics, 12%. 12% of your fear that you are currently having now are needless worries about your health and about your relationships. 10% of your worries which are right now are about your financial stability. Financial stability, am I earning the right income? Am I given the deserving kind of an earning? Am I really going to save all this money? Will I be bankrupt at this point of time? The current salary that I'm earning, how long is it going to persist? Is it going to get bugged up or is it going to be get cut short? It's all about financial worries. Finally, 8% of your current worries are the real worries. So the worries that you are having in your mind, only 8% of it are real worries. The rest 92% are completely assumptions, and they are completely about something that are not at all being generated in the world. But there is a good news. Only 8% are the real worries. The rest 92% we can be at peace. So you got the statistics about the worries, right? So you got how worries are really getting into your mind. Only 4% of the worries are the legitimate worries. The other things are just assumptions, and the video very clearly states that they are all completely assumptions and illusions. So this is where mindfulness comes to place. And mindfulness is when you are working on a task, concentrating on the task. When you are sipping the tea, concentrate on that particular sip of the tea. When you are watching a video, concentrate on that video. When you are listening to a song, concentrate only on that song. When you are watching your favorite program, concentrate only on that program at that moment. When you're having an argument, concentrate only on that argument at that moment. So mindfulness has got no limit. concentrating on that particular thing, on that particular moment is called as mindfulness. This is a great art. It just not comes within a snap of the finger. You need to meditate, you need to get inculcated into the practice of meditation. First of all, let me give you some forms of meditation techniques wherein you will have to sit straight and you just close your eyes and just concentrate on whatever that is happening. This is as simple as that, a simple meditation. And I used to suggest whenever I'm training the people for getting down with the level of drains and with the level of obesity in the gym, I talk to them about a separate kind of walking meditation. So just try this. After listening to this, pause the video and just get up and just try that in your own living room itself, or just get out of your house and start doing this. You stand up, you keep your spinal cord straight, you walk. The first 6 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, breathe in. Okay, breathe in and hold the breath. So the second set of 6 steps, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you are keeping the breath inside. And in the third and final 6 steps, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you are exhaling the breath. First 6 steps, breathe in. Second 6 steps, hold. And third 6 steps, breathe out. So this is a kind of a therapy in itself. And you are doing this almost for about 10 to 20 times. And you will have enormous amount of relaxation after this. And if you ask me about a mindfulness technique, this could be a fantastic technique for mindfulness and keeping yourself completely away from the worry paradigm. The other way of having mindfulness is wake up early. And if you have to wake up early, you will have to sleep early. And how to sleep early? That's a mythful question. So many experts are giving lot of ideas, and people are ignoring the ideas and not practicing on a regular basis. If you have to keep your mind on a proper level of worry handling mechanism, you will have to retire from the day very early and you will have to wake up very early. I'll give you some tips to have better sleep instead of getting you into the tone of how to wake up early. I will tell you how to have good sleep in the night. Point number 1, dim the lights 1 hour before you go to bed. Entirely, your total residence, your room, your personal room, or the personal space where you have set for your sleeping, that has to be dimmed at least 1 hour earlier. And think about only the things that you are supposed to achieve in your life, about goal dreaming. In that 1 hour, in that dimmed light section, your mind has to be thinking about only that. Your mind has to be thinking only about the dream. All right. So think about only the dream. And in this 1 hour, the dimmed light space of 1 hour, you're not supposed to look into any screens. No phones, no laptop, no gadgets. I know it's tough, but how badly you want a good sleep? So you have to do this, right? And then once you lie down onto the bed, just concentrate on your breathing. You're off. Sound sleep, right? So that's the best way. So if you are able to sleep in this form, and your day will be very, very early the next day, and you can wake up early, and your worry handling mechanism will automatically into the reboot. You can have a mindfulness meditation immediately after waking up early in the morning. You can have this walking meditation I just suggested after that. And you can really focus on whatever you want to focus at that point of time. So mindfulness, after this worry table mechanism that we spoke, this mindfulness is a very big therapy or a technique for keeping you away from worries. Right, so now we have come to a proper kind of refined mindset about how to handle worries. Now let me take you to the final 2 techniques of handling the worries. And I say techniques, not tangible techniques, but just approach, change in approach, right? So the next approach I would like to bring to you is ask this question quite often to you. That is, the question goes like this: what worst could happen from here if I'm not taking control of this worry? Or whenever a worry comes and strikes you, ask this question consistently: what worst could happen? What worst could happen? What worst could be the turn of events? What worst could be the result of it? See, your brain cannot think about two things at one point of time. So when you are able to ask this question, your brain gets into the readiness. Fine. So if this worst thing could happen, I can also absorb that and I can really handle that. Your brain will come up with an answer. Ultimately, what is the benefit you are really having by thinking about the worries without changing your mindset and keeping on involving your heads into that worry habits? Ultimately, what was the result? Your age is 28, your age is 25, 16, 35, 40. For the past 40 years, 35 years, 25 years, ultimately what were your benefits thinking about the worries consistently? How did you get benefited? Nothing at all. But at the same time, if you're really having this displacement technique of asking the question, okay, fine, so what worst would happen if I'm not taking control of the worry? So you get prepared with that, right? What next? What next? So what next? So that's an universal method of handling your worry. The next approach for handling your worry is get busy. Get extremely busy. I'm not only talking about the occupational busy mentality. Don't allow your brain to think about the worry. Read your favorite book, go to the gym and hit the iron station, pump a lot of iron, play table tennis, play piano, sing aloud. I do it all the time sometimes. Play golf, play cricket, play basketball, play your soccer. Except the screen video games, play anything else. Keep yourself completely busy. So when you keep yourself busy with these kinds of activities, again I'm repeating the same thing, your brain cannot think about 2 or 3 things at one single point of time. It can think about only one thing. When you are busy, your brain is postponing the worry. When you are busy playing that soccer, your brain is not thinking about the worry. When you are busy reading your favorite book, your brain is not thinking about that worry. When you are busy preparing or working on the project that you are really in love with, your brain is not going to be worrying. So please understand that, right? So the whole world is filled up with lots of patterns of worries and fear. And don't you ever sympathize yourself that God is extremely punishing you alone. It's not that way. You got to understand that God has got plans for everybody. When some of our plans are really inadvertently going wrong, then the plans are really charted up there. God is planning a different plan for us. That's how spiritually you have to look about your worry. But even after listening to all these insights into the video, and if you still would like to choose and prefer sitting and whining around about your worries, God bless you. But if you're really taking a lot of stands and you watch this video all over again, take all the initiatives, take the tiny notes, some 4 or 5 techniques that we have discussed now, take all those techniques and you're putting them into use, then I'm satisfied and you win. So hope I'll be satisfied and hope you will be winning. And finally, before we leave, I would like to give you a suggestion. Apart from all the techniques that we have, apart from all the approaches that we have discussed in this, I would like to leave you with a very important message. I got 3 books and I literally suggest you to read those 3 books. You know, readers are always leaders, right? So these are the 3 books I would like to suggest to you, basically for keeping yourself completely away from worry. See, whatever we have discussed in this video are the techniques and approaches for getting the avoidance segment of the worry, that is getting away from the worry. See, getting away from the worry is completely different from keeping the worry not even occurring away from us. You be away from the worry is one choice, and keeping the worry away from you is another choice. So the books that I'm going to suggest to you are definitely going to make your life completely in a refined form so that the worry does not come and hit you. But this one is not on the list. I told you that I'll be speaking about the 3 books, but this one is a very spiritual one. If you'd like to go for it, go for it. The Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda. This is my soul. I can even fast, I can even live without water, but I cannot live without this. But the books that I would like to speak to you, first of all, is this one, my friends, by Dr. Joseph Murphy, The Power of Subconscious Mind. Again, Dr. Joseph Murphy's Re-Entry, The Psychic Perception. And finally, the book that I would like to suggest is not of Joseph Murphy, but it is written by Rob Hume, a Chinese author, a book on confidence. I have displayed all these 3 books. Maybe get a copy of all these 3 books and your life is definitely going to be refined. Because these 3 books have given a lot of insights to me, a lot of variety of thinking to me. So in order to keep yourself away from worries, the insights from these 3 books are definitely going to help. So cultivate the reading habit. These books are quite very much available in Amazon, or even the Kindle version of it are available in Amazon as well. So get these 3 books, start reading, and you will have different kind of a lifestyle, and your life is altogether going to change. So I would like to rest my case. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll again come back to you.